Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies for the delay and welcome at the press conference following the informal meeting of European Union defense ministers that took place yesterday and today here in Sofia. High Representative Vice President Federica Mogherini and Defense Minister of Republic of Bulgaria, Krasimir Karakacanu, will say a few words, and then we'll take, I hope, one or two questions. High Representative, you have the floor.
Thank you. Well, first of all, let me start by thanking Krasimir and also the Prime Minister that joined us this morning when we started our meetings, and the Bulgarian Presidency for an excellent hospitality, but also for having prepared with us this council, this informal council, and for all the work we're doing together, also in Brussels, to try and move forward, in particular on this important European defence package that has entered this year real implementation. Last year, at this time, probably none of us would have bet on the possibility of having reached already 17 projects run under permanent structured cooperation, many different aspects of our European defence well underway. For the first time ever, a proposal from the Commission of the multi-annual financial framework, the next budget, including for the first time ever an explicit heading for defence, and so many other things that we have achieved in 1 year, 2 years of work. And again, I would like to thank the Bulgarian Presidency as well as the previous presidencies for the great role they are having in pushing this agenda forward, as well as all the other ministers of defence and of foreign affairs that are really putting a lot of energy and political capital into this European work. Today we have had a very intense and productive working session. No formal decisions were to be taken, but we have gone through the different aspects of the work that are ahead of us, in particular on the further steps on permanent structured cooperation. As you know, we have 17 projects already running. By June European Council, I will make sure that we will provide also publicly the state of play of the implementation of these projects. We have decided to adopt a new wave of projects later this year. This shows the level of commitment but also satisfaction that Member States have on the process we have launched. We have focused in particular on one of this that is also a flagship project in terms of EU-NATO cooperation, and that is military mobility, where we have the purpose to allow for smooth and efficient movement of military forces across the European Union and beyond, removing existing procedural and regulatory obstacles, but also reinforcing the EU infrastructures for the transportation of military equipment. So something very practical and very pragmatic. To give an example of what we're talking about when we're talking about projects under the permanent structured cooperation. And I also informed ministers of my intention to present a detailed proposal by mid-June on the European Peace Facility, a new off-budget instrument to finance our defence work, military operations, but also support for partners, and also the possibility to finance military equipment of partners. So this is a work that has the full support of Member States so far. I'm going to present more detailed options by June. We also had, and I close with that, a very good session with the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Göttemöller, and Under Secretary General for Peacekeeping of the United Nations, Lacroix, on the common work that the EU, NATO, and the United Nations are doing on conflict prevention, crisis management, peacekeeping, with our missions and operations on the ground, with a special focus on Africa and the Mediterranean, and obviously also on the Western Balkans, in particular with NATO. And I would close on this note, thanking again Krasimir and the Bulgarian Presidency for a wonderful hospitality.
Minister Caracacciano.
Благодаря, Федерика. Винаги съм се възхищавал на експедитивността на госпожа Могерини, която съм наблюдавал на други наши срещи в Брюксел. Днес тя направи класическо показно, как в рамките на кратко време, в един почивен ден, може да свършим много работа, за което за пореден път изразявам моето възхищение от нея. Знаете, това е традиционна среща във всяко ротационно председателство. С нощи заедно с госпожа Могерини посрещнахме и приветствахме гостите на нашата регулярна среща. Днес продължи работата по тези две теми, които оповести и госпожа Могерини. Българският премиер уважи нашия форум, което, както в началото госпожа Могерини го окачестви като оценка за работата и усилията, които полагаме в областта на съвместното придобиване на способности, отбранителното сътрудничество. Премиера говори и за нашата визия за Балканите и по време на нашето европредседателство. В точките, които разглеждахме, коментирахме ролята и задачите на Европейската агенция по отбрана, като ние от наша страна подкрепихме досегашните усилия в свършените работа. Говорихме също така и за управлението на постоянното структурно сътрудничество и военната мобилност. На 7 юни тази година в Брюксел България ще бъде домакин заедно с Европейската агенция по отбрана на симпозиум по военната мобилност. Разговаряхме и по, както вече разбрахте, на срещата присъстваха също така заместник генерален секретар на НАТО, госпожа Гьоте Мюлер, както и помощник генерален секретар на ООН, и разгледахме перспективите пред операциите по управление на кризи. Мисля, че, пак повтарям, въпреки почивния ден и ангажираността на колегите, всички бързат за следващия си служебен ангажимент. Успяхме да изговорим много от темите. България декларира своите позиции, които са в унисон с това, което е мнението и на нашите партньори. Аз съм кратък, за да може да зададете въпроси, на които госпожа Могерини може да ви отговори, тъй като тя също бърза за следващия си ангажимент.
Thank you very much. Time for questions. Please use the mic and introduce yourself and the media you're working for. I start with the gentleman.
От БНТ към госпожа Могерини, дали имате някакви конкретни очаквания за срещата на 17 Европейски съюз, Западни Балкани в София? Благодаря.
That is not only related to defense, but you know well how much I share the Bulgarian presidency focus on the Western Balkans, so I'm happy to take this question. I believe the summit will be, first of all, a very important event, coming so many years after the last ones in Thessaloniki, and it's first and foremost a political sign that the European Union and its partners in the Western Balkans share the same, not only geographical space, but also political objective, the same destiny, I would say. And I believe it is also a sign of respective and reciprocal commitment of working together. It is not going to be an enlargement summit, but still, I believe that the fact that the entire region is Europe and has a European perspective is going to be one of the underlying elements of the summit. I think it's going to be very important. We saw it when managing the refugee crisis. We see it when managing security threats from radicalization to the return of foreign fighters. We see it on economic development. We see it on infrastructures. We see on everything how connected the Western Balkans are among themselves with the rest of Europe. And I believe it's not just in the interest of the Western Balkan countries, but of all of the European Union to make this work with them credible and having a credible European perspective for the region is, I believe, an essential part of our own interest. So I think it's going to be a very important summit and also a very successful summit.
Elman? Robin? Just use the mic, please.
Robin Emmett from Reuters. High Rep, PESCO question. France has come forward with a proposal for an expeditionary force. I wondered if you would like to see the French proposal somehow merged with PESCO, and was that discussed at all today? Thank you.
We didn't discuss this during the meeting. I had a bilateral meeting with the French minister this morning, as we often meet bilaterally, and we discussed ways in which the two frameworks can be coordinated and be in sync. So that work will continue at our level, at working level. And I can guarantee you that the French approach is fully in line and fully in the picture of the common work we're doing in PESCO and under the Union umbrella.
Damon?
Hi, Damon Waite from AFP. Same subject, actually. I just wanted to know, is there not a danger with this French project that something like the European battle groups become essentially redundant if this new intervention force is created? And also there's talk of Britain and Denmark being involved in it, and obviously they're not in PESCO, so I just wonder, is there also a danger that this becomes a sort of something of a rival to PESCO? If it's
I think I've already answered. There's full coordination, there's full coherence, and the PESCO projects are already up and running. The other one is an idea that is being developed, and the French authorities have always passed to us and to me personally this objective they have to make this project that is under development fully coherent with the PESCO and with the European Union work on defence. That is already there, and it's already happening. So you should probably also ask the question to the French. But what I see is the intention from the French side to make the future initiative they have in mind perfectly coherent with the work we're doing under PESCO. That, by the way, has been something for which the French minister and president and foreign minister have been working coherently for a long time. If PESCO has started, it's also thanks to the French work. So it would be a completely contradictory not to work in the same direction. And I think there is no risk of that happening.
Thomas.
Thank you, Thomas Schmidt, Austria Press Agency. Hi, Rep. What's your expectation on the second wave of projects for PESCO? And do you expect the numbers of projects to be increased? And also there is this issue of third country participation to be resolved. When do you expect this to happen? And on military mobility, are there still any issues you see with non-NATO member states, neutral countries like Austria? Thanks.
The work on military mobility is proceeding very well, and as I said, I believe that by June, mid of June more or less, we will be able to share with you the state of advancement and the state of play of the first steps of the implementation of the work we're doing there, and I don't see particular problems, neither with non-NATO member states, nor with NATO, or with NATO allies that are not Europeans or European Union member states. On PESCO projects, some member states already today have started to flag ideas on new projects that would be presented as PESCO projects towards the end of the year. I believe it's too early today to share these ideas publicly, but I've heard interesting ideas for new projects, so for sure there will be additional projects on top of the 17. But too early to say how many and exactly in which fields. But again, I've heard already some ideas around the table today that look very interesting. And for what concerns the participation of third countries, indeed we've discussed about that. I would expect that after we take decisions, legal acts in June, hopefully, on the governance of PESCO, then member states could focus more in detail about the specific arrangements for the participation, extraordinary participation of third countries to PESCO projects. My expectation would be that that decision could be taken by the end of the year. The discussion was very productive and very positive and constructive already today on this.
I take one final question and then we need to wrap up.
Hi, I'm Monica Faro from the Spanish agency EFE. I wanted to ask you on the future of European headquarters after Brexit, because I know there is a Spanish and an Italian initiative about Atalanta, and I don't know, how do you see both candidacies, and also the future role that the Rota will play after Brexit? Thank you.
There are two member states that have offered to host the future headquarters for Atalanta. I take it as a very good signal of willingness to contribute so actively to a very important operation we have, because we have to see the fact that acts of piracy off the coast of the Horn of Africa have diminished significantly thanks to the operation we have, and we have to keep the same level of attention to avoid that piracy comes back in a significant manner in the area. So it's strategically important for us to continue to have Operation Atalanta working and working at full speed. What I mentioned to the ministers this morning is the need for them to find consensus. It's a decision that they will need to take. It's not taken yet. That they will need to take by unanimity. I hope by the end of May, beginning of June, in order to be able to start a smooth transfer of the headquarters. It is not for me to enter into what location could be better. What I invited the ministers to do is to share in full transparency with all their colleagues all the elements, all the arguments, all the pros and cons of the different options, so that member states can take a decision, first of all, consensual, unanimous, and secondly, actually first, based on what is the best for the operation itself. And I asked the ministers, decide as if it was your national military operation you have to decide upon, because what we have to guarantee is a smooth, effective operational setup. And I am very much confident that this will happen and that a solution will be found. Again, it's in the hands of member states. I think they will start discussions at ambassadors' levels next week in Brussels. But the atmosphere was very positive today around the table.
This concludes this press conference. Thank you to the High Representative and the Minister, and for you for coming. Thank you very much.
Благодаря ви, приятен ден.